Denise Calloway was 34 years old when she found the hotel receipt in her husband's jacket pocket, dated the same weekend he claimed to be visiting his mother. She didn't scream. She didn't cry. She set the table for dinner like always and waited for him to lie to her face. When she finally asked, calm and precise, Reggie didn't even flinch. He told her she was paranoid, ungrateful, that she had nothing of her own, nowhere else to go, no life outside the one he'd built for her. He leaned back in his chair, certain of his power over her, and dared her to leave if she was so unhappy. He was sure she wouldn't. What Reggie didn't know was that Denise had spent 11 years quietly tracking every dollar that moved through their marriage, including the money from her father's life insurance that had recently started disappearing into accounts she'd never seen. The next morning, she pulled a suitcase from the closet. Reggie watched, stunned, waiting for her to stop. She didn't. And as she zipped the bag closed, Denise made a decision that would end his arrogance for good. Before we dive in, comment where you're watching from today. And if stories like this speak to you, hit subscribe, because tomorrow's story is even more intense. The spreadsheet on Denise Calloway's screen was a mess of misdirection. Somebody had been moving money in small amounts, $800 here, $1,200 there, cycling it through 3 different vendor accounts to make it look like routine supply payments. It was the kind of fraud that was easy to miss, patient, careful, built on the assumption that nobody would look close enough. Denise had looked close enough. Here. She turned her monitor toward Marcus, her junior analyst, and tapped the screen with one finger. Same vendor code, 3 separate transactions, but look at the deposit dates, all within 48 hours of each quarter's closing window. Marcus leaned in, squinting. So whoever did this knew the audit cycle. Exactly. She leaned back in her chair. Internal. Someone who knows our calendar. He let out a low whistle. How'd you even catch that? Denise didn't answer right away. She just looked at the numbers the way she always did. Quietly, patiently, letting the pattern speak for itself. The same way you catch anything, she finally said. You stop assuming things are fine and actually look. By 4 o'clock, she had flagged the accounts, drafted her findings memo, and forwarded everything to the risk team. Her manager, Dale, stopped by her desk on his way out and dropped a hand on the partition. Good catch, Calloway. Again. She nodded. Just doing my job. It was a simple thing to say. She meant it simply. But walking to her car that evening, the words stayed with her longer than they should have. Just doing my job. The house smelled like the dryer sheets she'd been buying for 11 years. Denise set her bag on the kitchen counter and stood still for a moment, listening. The television was on in the other room, some sports recap, the volume low. She could hear Reggie's voice, not the TV, coming from down the hall. He was on the phone. Again. She started dinner. She sliced the chicken, seasoned it the way he liked, and had rice on the stove by the time he came into the kitchen, still holding his phone, scrolling with his thumb as he dropped into one of the counter stools. How was your day? She asked. Fine. She waited a beat. Busy? Yeah. The rice popped and steamed. She stirred it once and set the spoon down. The Northfield project, she said, keeping her voice easy and light. I was thinking about it today, actually. Didn't you say the investor meeting was this week? How'd it go? Reggie finally set his phone face down on the counter. He looked at her the way he sometimes did. Not quite annoyed, but close to it. Like the question was a minor inconvenience he hadn't budgeted time for. It went fine, Denise. I was just asking. I mean, my savings went into that deal too, so I know what went into it. His voice was flat, final. I've got it handled. She turned back to the stove. The chicken sizzled in the pan. She didn't say anything else. After dinner, he took a call and disappeared into the back office, pulling the door most of the way shut. She sat at the kitchen table with her tea and listened to the low murmur of his voice through the wall. Not words, just tone. Easy, warm, familiar with whoever was on the other end. Later, he passed through the living room, dressed in fresh clothes, keys already in his hand. "Site visit," he said, not really to her, more to the room. She looked up from the book she hadn't really been reading. "Tonight?" "Client wants to walk the property before it gets dark." He was already checking his phone. "Don't wait up." "It's almost 8. "Denise." One word, said like a sigh. She looked at him. "I could come with you. I've never actually seen the Northfield site in person." Something crossed his face, quick, controlled, gone in half a second. "It's a work thing," he said. "You'd just be standing around." Then he was gone. The door clicked shut behind him. His car backed out of the driveway, and the neighborhood went quiet. Denise sat there for a moment. Then she got up and went to finish the laundry. She had stopped wearing her perfume sometime in February. She hadn't made a decision about it. It had just happened the way things like that happen. Slowly, quietly, without a single conversation. She'd reached for the bottle one morning and set it back down, and then she'd kept setting it back down, day after day, until the habit of not wearing it replaced the habit of wearing it. Reggie had never noticed, or if he had, he hadn't said so. She thought about that while she sorted the laundry, shirts in one pile, dark clothes in another. She was working through his jacket pockets before putting it in the dry clean bag, an old habit, checking for receipts and loose change, when her fingers closed around a folded piece of paper. She pulled it out. A hotel receipt, printed on cream paper, the kind nice places used. She unfolded it slowly and read the date at the top. The same weekend he'd told her he was in Memphis, visiting his mother. She sat with it for 4 hours. The receipt stayed on the bathroom counter while she finished the laundry. She moved it to her nightstand before Reggie got home. When she heard his car in the driveway just before 11, she folded it once, tucked it into the inside pocket of her work bag, and turned off her lamp. She was still awake when he came to bed. He didn't say anything. Neither did she. In the morning, she got up first, made coffee, and went to work. She sat through 2 meetings and a training call and ate lunch at her desk. And the whole time, some quiet part of her brain was doing what it always did with a problem, turning it over, examining it, looking at the angles. Not the emotional part, not yet. The part that had learned, over 11 years, that reacting in the moment almost never got you anything useful. Wait. She knew how to wait. She made his favorite that evening: baked salmon, roasted potatoes, the good rolls from the bakery on Clement Street. Reggie came home in a decent mood for once, loosened his tie before he even sat down, and actually looked up from his phone long enough to say the food smelled good. Denise set his plate in front of him and sat across the table and let him eat. Let him relax into it. Let the warmth of the food and the ease of the evening settle around him like something comfortable. She waited until he was halfway through his plate. Then she said simply, "How was the Marriott on 5th?" He kept chewing for exactly 1 second too long. "What?" "The Marriott on 5th. She kept her voice even, almost pleasant. "The one downtown. Specifically the weekend of the 14th. She tilted her head just slightly. "I found the receipt in your jacket." He set his fork down. The look on his face moved fast. Surprise first, then the quick recalibration she recognized from years of watching him manage a room. "That was a client thing," he said. "Dinner ran late. I didn't want to drive back." "You were registered for 2 nights. Silence. "And you told me you were in Memphis." He picked up his fork again. "I changed plans. I didn't think I needed to file a report every time my schedule shifts." "Reggie." "What?" He looked up. "What do you want me to say, Denise? That I'm sorry I didn't update your calendar? I'm running a development company. Things move fast." She didn't raise her voice. She didn't lean forward or clench her jaw. She just looked at him. "Then tell me who the client was." Something behind his eyes went cold. "I'm not doing this." "I'm asking a simple question." "You went through my things." He pushed back slightly from the table, and his voice had changed, harder now, with that edge she knew well. "That's what we're talking about right now. You went through my jacket like some kind of—" "I check your pockets before the dry cleaner. I've done it for 11 years. Don't." He pointed. Don't do that calm voice with me like I'm one of your little fraud cases at work. I'm your husband. I know who you are. He stared at her. Then he let out a short, humorless laugh and shook his head slowly, the way he did when he wanted her to feel small for something she'd said. You know what your problem is? You've always had this suspicious mind, always looking for something to be wrong. I built something real here, Denise. I give you a good life, a good house, everything you need. And you want to sit across from me at dinner, interrogating me over some receipt? I want you to tell me the truth. The truth. He said it like the word itself was beneath him. He stood up, smoothed the front of his shirt. The truth is, you don't trust me. After everything I've done for this family, I funded the Northfield deal, she said quietly. That was my father's life insurance money, which I turned into something. His voice rose just enough. That was nothing.